Okay, class. We'll wait for another 2 minutes, and then exactly at 3:35 we could able to start. Okay, so I take the privilege to welcome you all for the first lecture. As per our Swery tradition, we will first go for the first lecture. Hopefully, you have gone for this. So, as far as this semester is considered, I am going to take care for the subject titled as Object-Oriented Modeling and Design. I am Dr. Somnath Tigre. I'll just brief about myself in upcoming slides. So, first we will focus on vision of the institute and the department. So you might have noted down this to be nationally recognized among the best institute in India for excellence in technical education. As far as department's vision is considered, to be nationally recognized for excellence in education, augmented by research in the field of computer science and engineering. So highlighting part here is augmented. Augmented is one of the reality that's called as a part of a virtual reality. We would like to be a part of that virtual reality into the reality will be recognized as one among the best institute, thus department. As far as the mission is considered, institute mission to impart value-added technical education through ambience of academic excellence, research, life skills by inculcating personal touch and respect in relationship amongst the stakeholders. As far as the department mission is considered, to impart value-added technical and applied research-oriented education by inculcating life skills oriented to industries with emphasis on human values is what the institute as well as department mission. These are the PEOs, that is program educational objectives. You can read one by one. The first one, apply the computer science domain specific knowledge and skills in growing software and related industries. Second, demonstrate leadership professional ethics, project management, finance related attributes as employees or employers. Third, engage in lifelong learning for professional advancement to develop innovative solutions for individual or societal problems. Fourth, demonstrate strong communication skills and ability to function effectively as an individual and part of team. This is what PEOs, which stands for program educational objectives. Then these are the outcomes, so far known as program outcomes. So engineering knowledge, problem analysis, design and development of solution. So And I take the privilege that as far as this particular subject is considered, we will focus on the third POs, that is design and development of the solution. So designing itself is nothing but try to give the solution. So that part we are going to focus here as in design and development. No doubt the first two parts are also important: engineering knowledge, problem analysis. Unless and until you don't know the problem, how you will perform the analysis. And if you do the better analysis called as what root cause analysis, once you could able to find out the root cause analysis, very easily you can go for the designing. And once design part is ready, development part can be done very easily. Fourth one is conduct investigation of complex problems, then by using the modern tools called as modern tool usage. And the next one is engineer and society is another one of the program outcomes. Seventh one is environment and sustainability. Eighth one is ethics, individual and teamwork, communication, project management and finance. And the last one, most important again, lifelong learning. These are the program outcomes. Based on that, we have some PSOs named as program specific outcomes. So understand and interrupt. Third one is we can say adopt applications in emerging fields of computer science and engineering. Now, moving towards the main topic, I'm going to take care for the subject called as what? Object-oriented modeling and design. As far as the theory part is considered, we have end semester evaluation for the 70 marks. Then continuous assessment will have a 25 marks, and ISE in semester exam we will have 30 marks. So total 125 marks are there for this subject. Why to go for this subject? Many of the students, as one thing, we have seen this. Let me confirm the things. I hope my screen is visible to all. Please reply. Is my screen visible? I hope I am proper audible to one and all. Please reply. Okay, Mukund, thank you. Thank you for your quick response. Okay, so this semester you have one elective subject, and the one elective subject is here is object-oriented modeling and design. There are other elective subjects like data science, and one more subject is natural language processing. But why should we prefer this object-oriented modeling and design? There are two things. The first and foremost important part, at this particular junction, your focus would be on your aptitudinal, preparational, and skill development perspective according to the company's premises. So recently you might have attended, you might get chance to attend the two corporate, or we can say software industries, what we can say placement opportunities. They have talked about the eligibility. So our foremost important part is that we should have minimum, what we can say, all clear as far as third year's result is considered. And second, you go for any multinational company, they will try to focus on the first criteria, that is clearing about your aptitude test. So at this particular time hours, because of this pandemic situations, rather than going for some other subjects, we will try to go for the common subject which is easy to clear the exams and which will be useful for my mini project as well as my major project as well as my interview perspective. So keeping this all the things into the mind, at a department level we have decided to give you one elective subject which will be easy to clear, which will able to make the score achieve maximum marks, and will be more useful for your project as well as interview perspectives. No doubt, being as in a computer science, we have to go for some what we can say latest technology. Data science is no doubt latest technology, but unfortunately at this moment our focus should be on placement and all these activity. So keeping this perspective, I will rather like to suggest or insist you all guys to go for an objective with an elective subject called as what, object oriented modeling and designing. Now the second point that I would like to put here is that many of the students from your side, I just came to know about this, not sure about this, that they are saying that sir, we would like to go for data science. No doubt we will definitely go for data science, but when you complete your third year exams and in between we are getting around 10 to 15 days time, so we will try to complete 30 hours training on data science for your project implementation from industry or from corporate side, just by paying nominal fees up to 500 or max 1000 rupees fee, where we could able to complete a 30 hours training in 5 to 6 days. So that kind of an assurance from my side I could able to give you. So let's move. I hope the point is clear. So any doubt at this moment? Please be open. Any doubt, any query, you can disturb me at any time. Hello. So whatever I just put in front of you, if you have any objection, any doubt, please let me know. Any clarification or would like to discuss it, please let me know. I hope I am audible. My screen is visible. Hello. Please reply. Are you getting? Yes. Okay, Mukund. Once again, thanks for your reply. I hope others are also able to get what I would like to say. So, as far as this part is considered, I am Dr. Somnath Thikde. As far as education part is considered, I have completed my BE from Shivaji University. Then I started my career with the software industry. Then, because of some need of time and keen interest, I did my master's in engineering from Solapur University. And recently, I have completed my PhD in computer science and engineering. Experience part is considered, as I mentioned, I have started my career as a SEA with an IBM Pune, and I have almost 7 years of industry experience. As far as teaching experience is considered, I have almost 8 years of teaching experience. And for this particular semester, I'm going to take care for the subject titled as Object-Oriented Modeling and Designing. So during my time in industry, I used to be preferred on this particular. I just used to go for some kind of a modeling. So prepare the diagrams, basically what we can say. So object-oriented modeling and design. If we see, this is nothing but in a simple way to look the problems. Being as a designer or being as a modeler, what you are supposed to do, you are just supposed to focus on the problem with design perspective. So what actually that needs to develop that design perspective, just like an object, you might have studied last year or into the first year also, you might have studied one subject called as what, graphics. So what actually that graphic subject is nothing but if you have one object and if you move that object from one place to another place, how it will move or how that object will look by different perspectives. So that each problem has a different perspectives, and here in this subject called as what OMD, we are going to try to understand the problems. Like you are doing a project, so you just need to understand the project, and for your project you need to provide the solution. So that solutions will be in terms of different diagrams. So that is what the basic idea about the object oriented modeling and design. Another simple way to understand why this subject we need to go, we have two subjects, basic comparison about the programming language, that you are already aware about. That one is a C programming language and second is C++. You can take any, but I just take for an simplification C and C++. Now doing towards programming perspectives, where you will get more usable parts, or what we can say, doing some kind of changes. If we look towards that perspective, the important part where we can focus, or where we can get maximum resilience kind of a structure is C++ comparison to the C. So one is procedural language, one is what we can say based on your scenarios or replaceable part. Most what we can say, just like an resilience architecture is what we are getting in terms of an object oriented. So that part we will try to focus as an object oriented perspective, and the way you are doing programmings, for that we can take the help of this subject. So the outcomes what we can able to do is demonstrations of basic object oriented modeling, then design models for real world problems using object modeling techniques. And for this subject we are going to learn one more one more language called as what, unified modeling language. As the name language, but that language will focus on diagram parts. So basically if we see towards this UML, this capital UML, which stands for unified modeling language, this unified modeling language focuses on the diagrams called as what, UML diagrams. Basically there are 9 UML diagrams. So whatever the problems you will take, you can give the solution to the problem with the help of these 9 diagrams. As far as UML version 1.4 is considered. But if we go to the latest scenario, UML 2.4 is going on there, and it comes up to 14 UML diagrams. But as far as your syllabus is considered, UML 1.4 is sufficient. So that we will try to focus on the different 9 diagrams. So you will get a problem and you just need to draw the diagrams. So in first year you have studied, problem statement was given to you. What was the first step? Once you get the problem statement, you are supposed to draw an algorithm for it. So that drawing an algorithm means nothing but understanding the problems. And once you understood the problem in algorithm, so what was the second step? Second step is to draw the flow chart. So drawing the flow chart is nothing but designing part in the simplest manner. So you have used some basic notations to draw the diagrams called as what, flow charts. But here we are using UML as a separate language to draw the different diagrams. You have just used only the flow chart over there, but here we will have a different perspectives over there. One object can be looked with a different perspective. So what are the basic diagrams that you are going to study in UML? Is like you can start with an use case diagram, then activity diagram, then object diagram, then sequence diagram, collaboration diagram, class diagram, and then component diagram. And based on that you can have this what we can say, different perspectives. And as I rightly mentioned that we are going to draw one diagram called as what, a class diagram. Once you could able to complete the class diagram, you can able to generate the code, what we can say, forward engineering class diagram to the code. We are calling it as what, forward engineering. I would like to demonstrate this also, because as far as this subject is considered, we have a 25 marks there for some assignments. So we are going to complete 8 assignments. 8 problems will be given, and our job is to draw the different diagrams for that problems by using UML parts. So we are going to study the forward engineering, that is class diagram to code generation. And if you are having a ready-made code with you, we couldn't able to draw the class diagram for that code called as what, reverse engineering. So that options also we are going to see here as object oriented modeling and design. So that is all about the subject what I put in front of you. Syllabus here for the section 1, we have the first chapter called as what, introduction to object oriented approach and modeling, very basic subject we are going to cover here. Bit lengthy, but we'll try to cover all the basics about the subject. Second is dynamic and functional modeling. As the name suggests, dynamic modeling means this is the change which is going to get changed based on some inputs. So just like in your flow chart, as far as whatever the inputs you have, based on the input, next action will be decided. So we are going to do some modeling part where as per your user's input, the scenario is going to get changed. Like we can say activity diagram, or we can say the sequence diagram. So that comes as a part of a dynamic modeling that we are going to see. One more common structure that we will use is a DFD, also data flow diagram, as a part of second unit. Third unit, again implementation of OMT, that is object oriented modeling techniques, that we will try to cover here. Section 2, we have again 3 chapters, so total 6 chapters are there. Section 1, 3 chapters. Section 2, 3 chapters. Structural modeling, behavioral modeling, and architectural modeling. So component diagram, deployment diagram, behavioral modeling, use case diagram. This interaction diagram is nothing but combinations, or in some books we can call this as an what we can say, combinations of your sequence diagram and collaboration diagrams. That is part of your behavioral model. Here we will focus on dynamic modeling. Here we will focus on the behavioral modeling. So this behavioral modeling, static modeling, this one is dynamic modeling. Then structural modeling, this class diagram represent the entire structures, interface, component parts. So server side, what will be there, at the user side, what will be there. So these parts we will discuss as a part of structural modeling. These are the some assignments that we are going to complete as a part of ISA, that is internal continuous assessment. I'll share these all the parts, no doubt. You can read over there. As far as the subject is considered, for this OMD subject, we need 3 textbooks. The first is Object Oriented Modeling and Design by a scientist named as Ramberg. Then Ivar Jacobson, James Ramberg. Again, the combinations with this. These are the 3 what we can say main scientists who has invented this object oriented technology. One is Grady Booch, second is Ivar Jacobson, and third is Ramberg. So they have formed this technology called as what, OMT technology, object oriented modeling technology. And third book is object, this soft copy is available, Object Oriented Modeling and Designing with UML 2. This is the latest version, means 2.4 is there, but the title they have given, Object Oriented Modeling and Designing with UML 2 by Mikkel Blah. Reference subjects, books, sorry, that Practical Object Oriented and Design by Mark Priestley, and UML in a Nutshell by Sinon Alher. These are the books. I just briefed about myself. To go for this subject, the prerequisite is very simple. You must be aware about the some SDLC concept, that is software development lifecycle, and you must be aware of any object oriented programming language. Any object oriented programming language, maybe C++ or Java that you have seen. So my same question, I hope I have could able to give the answer why we should go for this subject. So the simple answer is thinking in a different way, thinking in a solution perspective. And once you try to draw some kind of diagrams, it will be definitely go with the relevance to the problems, and converting the given problems into the solutions by drawing different diagram will definitely enhance the understanding of a problem, will help us to definitely go for the root cause analysis. And once we did properly analysis, we could able to give the proper solution. So after all, coding part is if you take any programming language, what remains common over there is the way your algorithm is fixed, the way your flowchart is fixed. Only the part is what, depending on the programming language, your syntax is going to get changed, but the logic remains same. And designing part help us to understand the logic for the problem and possible solution. So once your logical part is okay, you can learn any programming language, or whatever the program you have done, you can very easily convert. Just like if you did in C++, as a time demand, we have to switch to Java. So logic remains almost same, only the programming part, that is what we are saying, syntax are going to get changed. That learning a syntax may take hardly 1 to 2 months, but understanding the problems in a logical perspective needs a lot of a practice. And that's the reason why we have introduced this subject to understanding the problem perspectives, maybe in a static modeling or maybe in a dynamic modeling, that we are going to cover as a part of object oriented modeling and designing. So outcomes we have discussed. See, I'm saying an example as a cycle as one object. As a designer perspective, if I say cycle, immediately this kind of a picture comes in front of you. But in a designer perspectives, or we can say in an abstract level, it comes with an attributes. So we should able to understand immediately as in a designer perspective, what will be the frame size, wheel size, number of gears, what kind of a material it has used. And then as far as the, this is what structure, understanding the structural part of an object, called as what, cycle. So what is the frame size of a cycle, how many wheels it is having, 2 wheels or 3 wheels, number of gears, and what kind of a material it has used. And as far as operational means behavior part, if I take, it should able to shift forward, reverse, then how easily I can able to move it from one place to another place, so called as what, move. Second and third, sorry, third, how easily I can able to go for the maintenance, called as what, repair. Because if we take any element, any object, it has to undergo with an repairance or maintenance kind. So how easily I can able to perform the repair option. So this kind of a perspectives we could able to get as a part of a designer's perspectives. Same polygonal objects, you can check it out there. I hope my screen is visible, and I hope the perspective is clear. You can ask me the questions in between. You are supposed to put the queries also, no problem. If not, then let's discuss how we are going to proceed from start to end. So first lecture, we will review some SDLC concept. SDLC, which stands for Software Development Lifecycle. Last semester, you have studied one subject titled as Software Engineering. So where you have covered almost all the phases of the software development lifecycle. So may I have one simple question. Can you recall what are the different phases of SDLC? Yes. What are the different phases of SDLC? Have you heard this SDLC word before this? Okay, I will make it more simplest way. It stands for Software Development Life Cycle. So can anyone tell me what are the different phases of software development life cycle? No response. Am I audible? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So can anyone tell me what are the different phases of software development life cycle? Or okay, do you have studied how to develop the software? They might have studied different models as far as your software engineering syllabus is considered. So you have 9 different models over there. So let me help you to guess. The first model you might have studied as a waterfall model. Do you remember the waterfall model? So what are the phases of this waterfall model? Okay, I'm sharing one screen where you could able to get the simplest model called as what? Waterfall model. These are the different phases. These phases are known as software development life cycle. So simplest phase, the first phase is called as what? Analysis phase. Second phase is called as what? Design. This implementation we are calling simply as a coding. Next as a testing, and the last phase, which is combination of this, called as what? Deployment phase, because the maintenance is a part of a deployment phase. So what are the different phases of any software development life cycle? We are simply calling as ADCTD, which stands for analysis, designing, coding, testing, deployment. So analysis is nothing but simply what we can say, kind of understanding what the problem is. Simplest example is, as a patient, when it reaches towards the doctor try to perform the analysis, what the problem patient is having. Patient tells us, sir, I have a problems in my stomach, it is paining. So doctor puts some few questions, is how many days it happens. So that particular doctor is trying to analyze what the patient or what kind of a problems patient is having. Now based on the analysis, once you could able to perform the analysis, the outcome of the analysis is what actually the problem they have. So the next level, it comes as a solution perspective. So the first phase in the solution perspective is to go for some kind of an designs. So we need to understand the problems as a part of analysis, and the outcome of this analysis phase is nothing but an SRS that you might have studied. That SRS stands for software requirement specifications, where you need to understand the requirements. Different types of requirements are there, like functional requirement, non-functional requirements are there. Based on the types of requirements, we need to write a particular description for that requirements. And whatever description, whatever the SRS part you have done as a design engineer, our job is to convert that SRS into the diagram parts. That's the only simplest way to understand object oriented modeling and design subject. So as far as the system design perspective is considered, our job is to convert this SRS into the diagrams. And to draw the diagrams, we are going to take the help of a language called as what? Object oriented modeling. Now, once you could able to start working with this UML, as I said to you, we are going to draw basic 9 diagrams. After completion of the class diagram, you will able to get the code over here as a part of your coding phase. So you just need to put some kind of an syntax perspective over there. So you are getting an entire what we can say that MVC architecture, model, view, and a control. By looking conspect of this MVC architecture, your code will be there as a part of implementation. Now, being as a tester, what they are supposed to do, what code you have, whether that code is absolutely matching with this SRS or not. And if it is matching, means if the testing is done, you might have studied the testing in details also. So testing, it has its own life cycle called as what? STLC, software testing life cycle. Have a different modeling, means have a different ways to perform the testing, maybe black box testing, maybe white box testing, or sometimes combination of both called as what? Gray box testing. To perform the testing again, maybe using by manual testing or maybe an automation testing. Different ways are there. So that part we are calling as what? A testing. And once the product is tested, it is okay, we can able to give the product to the end user called as what? Deployment. Deployment means nothing but giving the product to the user, and user is using it. If any problem comes, we need to give the solution to the problems called as what? Maintenance. So this is software development lifecycle phases, and it is represented in the simplest manner. If you see here, why this is called as waterfall model, but if he says unless and until you cannot complete the first stage, you cannot go for the second step. And also water never goes back reverse. So it is always a straightforward log based process model. So it is simplest waterfall process model, which represents the SDLC, software development life cycle. So you should aware about this basic idea, what we are going to study here. That is what the review of the SDLC. Then my simple question is, your second phase of software development is life cycle is design. Now sometimes you might have seen, or you might have did in second year also, during your practicals also, whenever someone gives you a problem statement, the first important step is to convert that problem statement into an algorithm. Based on algorithm, you are supposed to go for the data flow diagrams, or that we are calling as a flow chart in simplest manner. Unless and until you cannot complete your flow chart, you are not supposed to go for a coding. But most of the times we did, or we perform exactly the wrong style, that once we got the problem statement, even in for the external examination also, we started immediately writing a code. Now what happens? Is it possible to escape a complete design phase? No doubt, you can do it. But if something goes wrong and problem comes, to whom you are going to consider as a responsible person? Because as far as if we consider this region as most of the recruitments in IT sectors goes to easiest manner called as what? A testing manners. So why we really need these many testers? Can anyone? Or is it possible to escape the designing phase and I can directly start for the coding, so that I have a large number of testers? I can perform the testing, and if any problem comes, I will able to solve that problems, because I have a very good team of my testing with me. So I don't waste my time to go for the designing. Is it possible? Or another way, you are might be traveling with a four wheeler, driving four wheeler. So ideal situation is that they says to start your vehicle with the first gear, then go to the second gear, achieve the good speed, then move towards third gear, fourth gear, like that. So is it possible for me to start directly with the second gear? Yes, you can, but it will definitely hamper on your performance, average, maintenance. The same thing is there. Can I escape a complete design phase from my software development life cycle? No doubt you can, but need to focus on the testing parts. So if you could able to solve the problems, as I said, example of a doctor and patient. So just imagine patient said the problems to the doctor, and without performing a root cause analysis, doctor has given some medicine to the patient. Patient goes to the medical and took the medicine, and after 2 3 days he or she feels okay. But just imagine it has a started some negative impact, or maybe called as what a side effect of that medicines whatever doctor has recommended, started some kind of side effect which will lead to a very big problem to that particular patient. So doctor performs a complete root cause analysis. That is what we are saying. We have to approach and we have to give clear idea each and everything to the doctor. Is it not the case that sometimes doctor feels that no, I have a more than 30 years of experience, looking towards the patient I can able to give the solutions? No, doctor always has one-to-one questions. And if just imagine if doctor could not able to understand what actually the problem, doctor recommends some kind of a sonography, or need to go for some kind of as an x-rays, need to ask you to go for some kind of a test like blood test, etc., so that could able to understand what actually the problems in the patient's body. So understanding a problem and trying to give the solution plays an important role. If doctor perform it, if without performing this, given the medicine to the patient, and patient has to suffer a lot. Small problems but neglected at the first level, to recover from that problem in the next or the next to next state gives 10 times, or we can say 100 times more amount to solve that problem. That is why, or that's why we cannot escape the designing phase. So to solve the problems, whatever the problem we understood in case of analysis phase, if we could able to solve it as an analysis phase only, it takes only 1% of efforts. In case of designing, try to find out the problem, it takes only 10% of efforts. But if you go towards an then testing phase, it needs 100 times efforts. If I consider 100 times efforts in case of software, it is equivalent to the cost. सो आय एम सॉरी फॉर द मराठी, बट एखादा प्रॉब्लेम तुम्ही जेवढ्या लवकर सॉल्व्ह कराल तेवढ्या लवकर किंवा तेवढे कमी पैसे किंवा तेवढा कमी टाइम तुम्हाला लागणार आहे. तुम्ही जर फेजेस वाढवत गेलात त्याच्या, किंवा नेक्स्ट फेजेस मध्ये जर तुम्ही प्रॉब्लेम, ज्याला आपण म्हणतो ना, डॉक्टर बऱ्याच वेळा म्हणतात पेशंटच्या बाबतीत खूप उशीर केला तुम्ही आणायला, म्हणजे तोच जर प्रॉब्लेम पहिल्या स्टेजमध्ये किंवा जेवढ्या लवकर कळेल तेवढ्या लवकर सोल्युशन देता येतं, रिकवर करता येतं, टाइम कमी लागतो, पैसे कमी लागतात. पण जर त्या स्टेजेस वाढत गेल्या, इट विल बी एबल टू. So that is what understand the importance of designing phase. This is what from my side as far as the introduction to the subject is considered. So the practical performance, we are going to use one open source tool called as what Star UML to draw UML diagrams. I have shared one link where I could able to give you all the materials, notes, syllabus, previous question papers on my blog. You can go through my blog also. So that's all from my side for the today's session. Any doubt, any query so far, please let me know. Yes, that's for today's session. Any doubt, any query from my side? Like to give some kind of a suggestions, please let me know. Okay, give your attendance. Give your attendance. Roll number 1,
Present.
2,
Present, sir.
3. Roll number 3, 4, 5, 6,
Present, sir.
7,
Present, sir.
8,
Present. 9%, sir. 10 present, sir. 12 present, sir. 11 present, sir. 12 present. 15 present, 14 sir. Present, sir. 16 present, sir. 18 present, sir. 20 present, sir. 21 present.
22 present.
23 present.
25 present, sir.
23 present, sir.
25 present,
21
sir.
present.
27 present, sir.
28 present, sir. 29 present, sir. 31 present, sir.
32 present, sir.
33 present, sir. 44 present, sir.
35 present, sir.
36 present, sir.
38 present, sir.
40 present, sir.
41 present, sir.
42 present, sir.
44 present, sir.
45 present, sir. 46 present, sir.
47 present, sir.
48 present, sir.
49 present, sir.
54 present. 55 present. 56 present, sir. 57 present, sir. 57 present, sir. Hello, sir. 59 present, sir. 61 present, sir.
63 present, sir.
65. 65. 65 उपस्थित. 65 present. Okay.
Roll number 3 also present.
66, 67, 68,
69 present, sir.
okay, last is 69,
70, sir.
70, 70, 70. Ah. Option number 3, 3 is there, 3,
Sir, 26 present, sir.
Roll number 3 present, sir.
Sir, roll number 9.
37, sir. 37, sir.
what is your roll number?
37.
23, sir.
37.
Hello, sir. 23 present.
24.
Okay, all of you leave the meeting immediately. Leave the meet.